When worry shouts, take no thought. That is the law I want you to hear before your mind reaches for its weapons. Take no thought for your life, the Master said. And again, be still and know that I am God. Do not bargain with your fear. Do not decorate it with holy words. Do not wrestle it to the ground with superior arguments. Stop, stop. Relief begins the instant you refuse mental combat and stand in oneness. Why? Because God is one. Not a slogan, not poetry, not a comfort blanket. God is one is practice, is law, is reality. If God is one, what second power are you combating? If there is only one, what could your thought add, subtract, or repair? Who by taking thought can add a cubit to his stature? None. Thought cannot, because thought is not power. God is. Some of you have much training in the letter. Some of you have almost none. You have an advantage and a disadvantage, and they switch places. Less background in the letter may mean more openness to the spirit. More letter can be ballast or burden. Be very firm in your understanding of your own inadequacy to meet worry with wit or will. I can of mine own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. That confession is not humiliation. It is entrance. You are not here to sharpen the sword of personal mind. You are here to drop the sword and discover that the battle was imagined. And you are not alone in this, where two or more are gathered in my name, in the realized name I am. There I am in the midst. United consciousness lifts you where solitary trying cannot. Let us anchor the ground. God is one. Say it, feel it, but more than that, stop before it. As long as you believe there is power in a good thought, you are far from the kingdom. You will reach for affirmations when fear rises. You will compose little speeches to your panic. Do not do it. Don't go on with vain repetitions. Stop. Hold your peace. Let your very tongue refuse service. Silence is not passivity. It is obedience to law. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Not because I thought it, but because God is. Here is the promise for this work. A 60-second no-thought drop you can deploy on cue. 1 honest minute in which you do nothing, think nothing, request nothing, and let grace be what grace is. Not technique yielding, not effort, presence. We will practice it until it becomes your reflex. When worry shouts, you will not argue, you will enter. And there, in that still wordlessness, you will learn how the Father doeth the works. Before we touch practice again, let us stand under the Master's words until they stand over us as law. Take no thought for your life is not a mother's comfort, not a kindly proverb. It is command because it is law, and it is law because God is one. Only one power is where only one is, a second mover is absent. Where a second mover is absent, thought has no power, neither your good thought nor your anxious thought. I can of mine own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. That is the constitution of this kingdom. The Master interrogates our superstition about thought. Who by taking thought can add a cubit to his stature? Who can change a single hair, white or black? Who can lengthen a day or save a moment from passing? Who by a brilliant argument can hold back the tide? Then why worship thought? If it cannot add, if it cannot color, if it cannot stretch time, it cannot save. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Resist not evil. These are not metaphors for trying softly. They are functional directives born of oneness. What is worry but faith in a second power? A whisper that somewhere, somehow, something stands outside of God to threaten, and therefore your personal thought must muster a counterforce. Two powers imagined. Fear on one side, a better thought on the other. But a coin stamped in nothingness has two faces of the same nothing. As long as you believe there is power in a good thought, you are far from the kingdom, for you have granted power to its opposite and made a battlefield of your head. Hear the prophets. My thoughts are not your thoughts. The thoughts of the Father are not the mentation of man. True prayer is not telling God, it is yielding to God. Be still and know that I am God. Stand still is law, because one is all. Resist not evil is law, because there is no second actor to resist. In that vision, worry collapses like a shadow at noon. The letter may quote these words and yet continue arguing. The Spirit obeys. Stop, stop. Let your tongue refuse service. Hold those teeth together until you are under authority again. Silence is not passivity. It is covenant with the One. When you refrain from thinking against evil or for good, you are not neglecting duty, you are honoring law. Therefore, take no thought operates as living law. Where God is one, thought is not power. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty, not by might, nor by power, nor by opinion, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. God is. That is the law. That is the liberty. Now let us draw the line where many stumble and very few are willing to stop. There are two parts to this work. There is the letter of truth, and there is the Spirit, the consciousness of truth. The letter prepares, the Spirit heals. The letter lifts you above the chattering plane of mind. The Spirit is that wordless altitude where God is experienced as the only. The letter is your road up the mountain. Once you reach the ledge, you must let the road fall away. If you keep dragging the road into the sky, you are only thinking about God while refusing God. Be very firm in your understanding of this. The letter is holy only as it brings you to the silence in which the Father doeth the works. You can quote and still be arguing. You can affirm and still be afraid. You can read, teach, memorize, and still be worshiping a second power. When ye pray, use not vain repetitions. Be still and know that I am God. That is the turn from letter to spirit. It is not a better speech. It is no speech. It is not many sacred sentences. It is one recognition. God is. Then stop, stop. Let your tongue refuse employment. Hold those teeth together if necessary. Close the door, even if that door is only the soft hinge of your lips. Wait, not for an answer, but in the answer. True prayer puts you on the receiving end of God. Worry is a solicitor. It comes to the door asking for a hearing. Do not hold court. Do not argue a case for good thoughts against bad thoughts. Who by taking thought can add a cubit to his stature? You will not end worry by constructing a taller tower of reasons. You end it by leaving the building. The shift is dimensional, from the letter's helpful scaffolding to the Spirit's open sky. Use the letter only to point, and then let the pointing hand be still. God is. You can't see it, hear it, taste it, touch it, smell it, or think it. You can only stand still and know. When worry rises, use the letter once, like a key, and then let it drop from your hand. I can of mine own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. Say it, and mean it enough to stop saying anything more. Acquaint now thyself with him, and be at peace. Not acquaint thyself with statements, but with him. In that acquainted silence, you will feel the strain melt without your help. Law works because God is one. Let the argument end. Let grace do the works. God is one. Take that, not as embroidery, but as the granite under your feet. God is power. Therefore, there is only one power. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. If God is one, where is the second force? If God is the power, Where is the counterpower that worry insists upon? The Master did not offer us a philosophy of competing strengths. He offered a kingdom without opponent, not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. One spirit, one life, one being. Now look at the superstition we have nursed, that a good thought can save you. As long as you believe there is power in a good thought, you are far from the kingdom. For if you invest a thought with power to redeem, you have already invested its opposite with power to destroy, and you have installed two gods in your temple. Then you call it prayer when it is only better arguing. Who by taking thought can add a cubit to his stature? Who can bow the wind, heal the sparrow, roll away the stone? Thought cannot, because thought is not power. God is power. You will ask, where then is this one? Show me. You cannot. You can't see it, hear it, taste it, touch it, smell it, or think it, yet it is. I am that I am. Before Abraham was. The senses cannot approach it. The mind cannot grasp it, but the heart can know it in stillness. Be still and know that I am God. Do not reach with mind. Abide with I am. God is stop. Stop. Let the letter bow to the spirit, and let the spirit be what it eternally is. Here comes the paradox that frees you from striving. Your faith won't fix it. Grace reveals it already whole. The faith that strains, measures, and mends belongs to the realm of two powers. The grace that appears in silence is the effortless disclosure of what God is being where you stand. My grace is sufficient for thee, not my effort, not my cleverness, not the volume of my affirmations, grace. When grace appears, it does not change reality, it unveils it. Therefore, in oneness, worry has no partner to dance with. It arrives demanding a duet. Fear on one side, your thinking on the other. Decline the invitation. Do not supply the other hand. Resist not evil, not because you are weak, but because there is no second actor to resist. In the recognition that God is one, the imagined power we gave to fear and to our own thinking about fear dissolves like a shadow at noon. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Not because I thought it into safety, but because thou art. Oneness removes the power we imagined in fear and in our own thinking. Stand there. Stand still. God is one. God is power. God is... Now we name the hidden law that has been acting all along unnoticed, because we put ourselves before it. I can of my own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. This is not humility as ornament. It is the mechanics of spirit. The instant personal doing yields. Divine being is found to be the only activity. Harmony does not arrive by might, nor by power, nor by carefully arranged sentences. Harmony comes by grace. True prayer, then, is not informing God. It is taking the receiving end of God. Be very firm in your understanding of your own inadequacy, and you will feel the easy yoke God is, and that is enough. How does this law function? Very simply, when you refuse to take thought, you cease obstructing grace. Be still and know that I am God. Stop. Stop. Let your tongue refuse employment. Let the mind sit without an argument to sponsor. You will not improve God by thinking. My thoughts are not your thoughts. Treat God as omniscience, not as a listener to your reports. He is not informed by you. He is informing you. Prayer is reception, not projection. It is the yielding of the branch to the sap, and the sap flows. Therefore, cultivate a procedure of surrender, not as technique, but as covenant. Quietly, honestly, let me turn this over to the Father. Let me feel your presence. Not words to persuade, words to lay down arms. Hold those teeth together if they want to chatter into formulas. Sit 1 minute in naked, yes, God is, that is your whole prayer. In that 1 minute, you are not making anything happen. You are letting the one who already is reveal himself as presence, order, sufficiency. You ask, will something change? Who by taking thought can guarantee a change? But grace appears, and with its appearing the need dissolves or is fulfilled in ways the mind did not conceive, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. The hidden law works the moment personal doing yields to divine being. When the sailor stops rowing against a wind that is not there and lifts the sail, movement appears of itself. Carry this into everything, before the phone call, after the diagnosis, between the questions and the answers. Refuse the economy of resistance. Refuse the theater of self-help. Take your place on the receiving end. God is one. God is omniscience. God is present. And the Father within you doeth the works. Do not hurry. Do not look to results. Abide, and let fruit appear in its season, not by your calendar, but by the life of the vine. Now we must look with simple honesty at the way worry gains its breath. It comes as a voice asking for a conversation, as a knock that seems courteous until you open the door. It says, answer me, and when you answer, you have hired it. Argument is its oxygen, attention is its wage. The more you compose, the more you oppose, the stronger the phantom appears. Resist not evil is not weakness, it is functional anatomy. The lie cannot live without your resistance. Starve it by non-engagement. Do not heap affirmations against it. That is often the same currency in another color. Affirming against fear can be as useless as thinking the fear. As long as you believe there is power in a good thought, you have already conceded power to the bad one. Two powers imagined, a duel staged, a day wasted. What makes the hook so clever? It flatters the personal doer. Who is thinking now? Who is arranging, defending, calculating? The very one the master disqualified. I can of mine own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. Worry whispers, try a little harder, think a little smarter. And the ego bows, picks up the pen, and starts the trial. But the judge, the jury, and the plaintiff are all the same dream. Stop, stop, let your tongue refuse employment. The moment you cease sponsoring the debate, the courtroom has no case and no clerk. Thought is not power, God is. Non-resistance is not numbness. It is not denying the felt flutter under the ribs or the heat in the cheeks. Deny the bait, not the feeling. Let sensation be what it is and pass through as weather. Stand still beneath it. Be still, and know that I am God. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Not because I discovered a mightier phrase, but because thou art presence, not persuasion. Therefore, when worry solicits thought, refuse the interview. If a sentence arises, let it be only this once, as key and closure, God is. Then hold your peace. Resist not evil. Withdraw the counterfeit life. You are lending it by arguing. Refusal to think with worry deprives it of the only life it seems to have. In that uncluttered minute, grace appears of itself, and you will find there is nothing left to fix, only an order to recognize. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. This is the economy of resistance turned on its head. You spend nothing, and infinite sufficiency spends itself. Soon we will practice a minute of silence that seals this together. Now we practice. This is not another thought about practice. It is stopping where the law meets you. When the bell of worry rings, arrest yourself kindly. Stop, stop. Sit if you can. Stand if you must. but be still. Place your feet on the floor as if the earth itself were the altar. Let the spine be easy, not soldiered. Let the head float as a lily on quiet water. The eyes may close or soften. You are coming under authority, not composing a scene. Let the body give the cue to the mind. Let the tongue fall from its post. Hold those teeth together if they would rush to speech. Unclench the jaw. Let the shoulders melt their armor. Open the hands on your lap or at your sides, palms willing, not grasping. Feel the chair hold you or the ground receive you. This is the letter yielding to the spirit through the simplest gate of surrender. Now one soft in-breath, one soft out-breath, then leave it alone. Do not manage the air. Do not count. Do not sculpt the chest. Who by taking thought can add a cubit to his stature or a second to his peace? Breath will breathe. Let it be. Once, only, quietly within, speak the mantra as a key and lay it down. God is. No embroidery, no second line. If a sentence must precede the silence, let it be this confession and this invitation. Father, I of myself do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. Let me feel thy presence. Then cease. Hold your peace and let your very tongue refuse employment. For 1 minute, set a timer. If you must add nothing, correct nothing, seek nothing, be still and know that I am God. If a thought presents its card, do not take the meeting. If a feeling swells, let it pass as weather. Keep the hands open, the tongue quiet, the teeth gently closed. You are not achieving, you are receiving. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. My grace is sufficient for thee. 1 honest minute of this wordless receptivity will do more than hours spent arranging brighter thoughts. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. When the minute ends, do not lunge back to doing. Move softly. If an act arises of itself, let it flow as afterglow. If not, remain unhurried. God is. The Father within you doeth the works. Practice this at dawn, at noon. Practice it in doorways, in lots, between the ring and the answer. Let 1 minute become climate. You are not postponing life. You are letting life reveal itself. God is one. God is one. Let grace do the works. Now we take this into the street, into the inbox, into the kitchen counter where envelopes gather like small storms. The phone buzzes at an odd hour, a number you would rather not see. The heart rises to meet it with arguments, defenses, promises. Stop, stop. Do not answer with thought. Take no thought. Let your feet find the floor, your lips close, your tongue fall quiet. Once only within, say God is, and then be still 1 honest minute, not to force the caller to bear good news, not to bend outcomes with concentration. Be still and know that I am God. Knowledge follows stillness, not the other way around. You are not working the universe. You are yielding to what is already true. The Father within doeth the works. The invoice waits, red letters, due yesterday. The mind drafts speeches to the bank, calculates penalties, counts coins and fears. Resist not evil. Refuse the courtroom. Do not pay with anxiety. Sit with your bill as with a brother and drop into the minute God is. Close the door of words and wait. After the minute, a step appears without strain. Open the envelope and read calmly. Send a short message. Set a humble appointment, or do nothing now and keep peace. The step is not rescue by wit. It is the easy yoke of the next thing grace ordains. The lab result pings flagged. The hand wants to search, to scroll, to graduate in 10 minutes as a physician of dread, who by taking thought can add a cubit to his stature or a white hair to black. Stop. Be very firm in your understanding of your own inadequacy to diagnose reality. Sit your 60 seconds. God is one. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. After the silence, you may call, you may wait, you may walk, you may rest, but the strain will be absent and the presence present. A terse email lands without greeting. The old reflex would craft a reply that defends, justifies, triumphs. The trained reflex can be silence rather than struggle. 1 minute, God is. Then perhaps a single clear sentence, perhaps a delay, perhaps a phone call, but not the froth of the ego's defense. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. This is on-cue living. Bills, buzzes, and bad news become bells for prayer, not alarms for combat. Take no thought. Be still and know. Let the minute be your doorway and grace your labor. God is one. God is in grocery lines, at traffic lights, under fluorescent waiting rooms. Make the same choice. Hush, receive, and let the Father within go before you in every hour. Now we carry this silence into our love for one another. Hear this and let it settle as bedrock. God and the practitioner and the patient are one. Not three pieces negotiating outcomes. One life recognized, one presence revealed. That which constitutes a practitioner is not a person with strong thoughts. It is a state of consciousness that knows this truth. Therefore, do away with the notion of sending thoughts across a room or across an ocean. As long as you believe there is power in a good thought, you are far from the kingdom because you have already granted power to its opposite. Thought is not power. God is power. God is one. How then do we help? Not by projection, but by communion. Do not take on your friend's pain and then compose an argument to defeat it. Put up thy sword into its sheath. No mental swordplay. When a call for help comes, stop. Stop. Let your tongue refuse employment. Once only within, acknowledge, I can of my own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. Then enter the same 6-0-second no-thought drop, not to work on a case, but to rest as the presence in which there is no case. Be still and know that I am God. True prayer puts you on the receiving end of God, and in that receiving there is no practitioner here and a patient there, only I am in the midst. Where two or more are gathered in my name, there am I in the midst of them. Gather not bodies, gather consciousness. If you and I agree to meet in this oneness without words, without treatment formulas, grace appears, not because we summoned it, but because the veil of our doing fell away and the is of God showed itself as harmony. Healing is not a transaction from me to you. It is recognition of what already is. My grace is sufficient for thee. Sufficient for whom? For the one appearing as both of us. You will be tempted to peek, to add a thought, to help God along. Don't go on with vain repetitions. Stop. 1 minute of wordless receptivity is worth 1,000 crafted treatments. If after the silence a simple word is given, let it be gentle as dew. If an action arises, let it be the easy yoke. Often nothing is said and much is done, for the Father within doeth the works. In this way, a mother sits beside a fevered child and, without anxious thinking, abides 1 minute as presence. A stranger's grief crosses your path, and without projecting comfort, you consent to God is. A letter arrives from a distant bed, and instead of sending thoughts, you enter stillness and discover there is only one life being itself without opposition. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Stand there with your brother, not as two, but as one. After the silence, Do not sit and admire your quiet as if it were an achievement. Move when moved. Take no thought for the morrow becomes operation, not ornament. You are not planning out of fear. You are consenting to be led. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Acknowledge is the whole of it, God is, and the path appears, not as a grand design, but as one clear, simple step. Mark the signs of grace, a quiet certainty without hurry, an absence of inner argument, and a single next doing that asks no strain. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Liberty walks, it does not pace. You will find that after an honest minute, the hand lifts to the needed task as if it had always known. The bill on the counter no longer accuses. You pay one portion today simply and write a brief note without drama. No speech, no self-reproach, one faithful step. The screen with the doctor's portal ceases to glare. You make the call, you ask the plain question, and you end the call without rehearsing it twice. The strained email in your outbox is deleted. You send one sentence that is clean, or you rise, cross a small distance, and say, I'm sorry, with no defense, no explanation, no cleverness, only the easy yoke. This is not passivity. This is the Father within doing the works through a will that has laid down its sword. Take no thought for the morrow does not mean neglect. It means tomorrow is not your God. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof, and sufficient unto the day is the grace thereof. When grace moves, it does not load you with the weight of 10 tomorrows. It hands you today's bread. Give us this day our daily bread. Daily, not in a hoard. Bread, not a banquet plan. Trust the cadence. Refuse the fever of maps and milestones. One step, then the next, each from presence, each without self-congratulation. How do you know you are in that cadence? The body is unhurried. The breath is unforced. The mind is not bargaining. There is no audience within applauding or booing. There is only I am. As long as God is, I am, and I move as I am led. Not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit. Say once, God is, and then go where the foot is guided and the hand is warmed to usefulness. If nothing arises, do nothing and call it obedience, not delay. If something arises, do it and call it grace, not genius. Make this your integration. Begin with silence, continue with simplicity, end with gratitude. Then repeat. The day becomes a rosary of small obediences, each bead a minute of stillness followed by an unlabored act. You will look back and find a path you never drew straight, sufficient, blessed, not because you thought it, but because God is and the Father within you doeth the works. Now we come to the small foxes that spoil the vines, the polite ways the mind sneaks back into the sanctuary and sits in the front pew. You have entered the 1-minute stillness and felt the unforced step appear. An hour later you find yourself counting seconds, hunting for a holy tingle, checking whether the piece worked. Who is doing this checking? Who is timing God? Who, by taking thought, can add a cubit to his stature? If thought cannot add, it cannot certify. Counting, hunting, checking, these are only thought, returning with a clipboard. Don't argue with it. Don't grade your silence. Stop, stop. Let your tongue refuse employment. Let the minute be the minute, not a test you proctor. Be still and know that I am God. No follows still. It doesn't precede it with a stopwatch. Another snare, turning the mantram into a talisman. You find yourself repeating, God is, God is, God is, as if many beads could purchase peace. As long as you believe there is power in a good thought, you are far from the kingdom. You have already granted power to its opposite and reinstated 2 gods. Use the mantram once as a key, God is, and then drop it. Stop, stop. One gentle key, then the door stands open by grace. Vain repetitions close it again. You will also hear a whisper. If I stop thinking, won't I become passive, irresponsible? No. Receptivity is not passivity. It is yielding to the only power, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. The branch that consents to the vine is not idle. It bears without strain. After the minute, the step appears not as ambition, but as obedience. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Acknowledge, then walk. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty movement without the whip. Be very firm in your understanding of your own inadequacy. I can of mine own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. The humility is not self-hatred. It is functional accuracy. The moment you feel technique ego reach for the wheel counting, forcing, fixing, confess once, my thoughts are not thy thoughts, and fall again into wordless receptivity. Do not seek a feeling. You can't see it, hear it, taste it, touch it, smell it, or think it. You can only stand still and know. In practice, this is simple. Notice the subtle doing. Smile at it as you would a child taking the helm. Lay a single finger on the wheel. God is, and let go. Stop. Stop. Re-enter the hush. 10 times an hour if needed. 70 times 7 in a day. Each return is not failure. It is faithfulness. In that faithful returning, oneness remains your atmosphere and grace. Not technique does the works. God is one. God is. Now let us set a rule, not as iron upon the wrist, but as a climate for the soul. Morning and evening, 3 to 5 minutes in holy quiet, no speech, no plan. At the first light, sit, let the tongue refuse employment, say once only God is, and enter the wordless. At day's end, the same lay down the gathered fragments and rest, where he maketh me to lie down in green pastures. Between these bookends, make the hours beads for grace. On the hour, or as near as life allows, take 60 seconds and drop God is, then hush. Do not wait for crisis to learn the cadence. Rehearse peace before the trumpet sounds. Make a predecision. Fix it now while the room is friendly. When worry shouts, I take no thought. Not if I feel like it, not if the facts are favorable. When worry shouts, I take no thought. This is not bravado. This is obedience to the Master's law. Take no thought for your life. The reflex is trained before the blow. You will find the body remembers, the jaw softens, the teeth close gently, the tongue falls still, and the minute opens of itself. Be very firm in your understanding of this. Thought has no power. God is power. Therefore, your practice is not thinking better, but refusing thought and receiving grace. Do not walk alone. Where 2 or more are gathered in my name, there am I in the midst. Choose a time with a friend or 2 noon. Evening agree to meet in silence, whether across a table or across a town. For 60 seconds, you share one wordless yes. Make it simple. Make it regular. If there be 10 righteous in a city, shall not the city be saved? Let united consciousness become a canopy for your home, your street, your city. We are not sending thoughts. We are consenting to 1. Keep a small book, not for analysis, but for witness. Do not journal arguments. Record appearances of presence. 1 line is enough. 7 a.m. hush. A step appeared. 3:15 email answered itself. No strain. Dusk peace in the kitchen. Bill paid in portions without fear. This is not your boasting. It is your remembrance. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits. As you read back, you will see a thread of unlabored order, and your confidence will root in God. not technique. This is your commission. Establish the no thought drop as your daily rule. Morning and evening, 3 to 5, hourly a minute. In crisis, immediately. With friends, regularly. Record the grace, not the grind. Let oneness become your climate and your quiet authority. Say once, God is one. God is. Then live from that sufficiency. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Go now in that liberty, not by might nor by power, but by his Spirit, and let the Father within you do the works.